It's a beautiful summer evening in Oxford in 1983. I'm 20 and I'm walking arm in arm with Josh. He's tall and tanned and looks gorgeous in his dinner jacket. We're going to a ball and there's a gang of us walking up the high street, the young men in black tie and us girls in our beautiful ball dresses. I'm wearing a blood-red cheongsam. That's Chinese for long dress. It's that traditional dress with the high collar and buttons down the side. It was made for me by our family tailor in Malaysia to fit by every curve all the way down to the ground. There are slits coming up either side, stopping just short of obscene, high on my upper thighs. I'm wearing silk stockings and lacy suspenders. As I walk, the dress moves. And there, can you see it? A hint of that delicate strap high up on my thigh. I'm wearing a pair of Kurt Geiger stilettos, black patent leather with 3-inch heels. There's a shiny black triangle at their tip where my toes are. There's a thin leather strap that runs up the middle of my foot like a thong to meet another strap that goes around my ankle like a bondage collar. The shape of the shoe makes my foot arch back like a woman in ecstasy. Ah! And I swish along. The stilettos make me walk in a delicate swaying manner, and I'm taking tiny baby steps. I feel a class above the other girls in their flouncy ball dresses, walking arm in arm with their young men. Because the men, they're all looking at me. And every step is an agony. All my weight is on the balls of my feet. My toes are jammed into the tips of the shoes, crushed up against each other, overlapping, crooked. The arches of my feet feel contorted, and every time the sharp, piercing heel slams down onto the pavement, my ankles wobble, threaten to snap over. Josh has a swagger in his walk. He loves having his china doll on his arm. He's picking up the pace with his long, masculine stride, and I'm tottering along beside him with my tiny baby steps. I say, Josh, please, slow down. And he does, but absently, as if he doesn't understand why I need him to slow down. Soon, he's picking up the pace again, and I'm struggling along beside him. I look up at the high street stretching out ahead of me. There's such a long, long way to go. How many tiny, painful steps is it going to take me to walk that long, long way to the ball? I envy Josh his strong, sturdy shoes, his long, manly stride, that sense that he owns the world. Whereas my world is so tiny, shrunken to the next painful little step.
I'm 8 years old. It's after dinner time in Malaysia. My sister is 5, my brother is 4. We run into my parents' bedroom and jump on the bed. My dad is reading a book, my mom is doing a crossword. We say, Mama, Mom, tell us a story. And they both put their books down. I say, Mama, Mom, tell us how you and Dad met. Well, I was a student at London University, and one Saturday night, my friends and me, we went to a dance. It was at Malaya Hall, which is behind Marble Arch. I didn't know anybody, so I was sitting by myself, and I felt like a wallflower. All the other girls, they were so modern in their 1960s outfits. Me, I was only half modern. I had pointy glasses and my hair was up in the latest fashion. They call it the beehive. But your mama, your grandma, my mom used to say to me, whenever I go to this kind of formal dance, I must wear traditional dress. So I was wearing a cheongsam, and I felt like an old maid. But then, across the room, I saw this young man. He was so good looking in his DJ, and he was also looking at me. It was so romantic, just like in that song, in that film, South Pacific. Mom, sing the song. Well, okay. Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger, you may see a stranger across a crowded room. We stare at her and listen to her, and I think this is what it's going to be like when I am a grown-up woman. My dad says, yeah, I saw this kampong girl, this village girl, so old-fashioned. I took pity on her lah. Hiya, you are so rude. But I see they are beaming at each other. So anyway, he came over and we talked lah. Then afterwards, late at night, we went for a walk through the London streets. It was so romantic with the light shining brightly. We walked from Marble Arch to Piccadilly. Do you know how far that is? It's a long, long way. Me with my cheongsam and my high heel shoes, tick-tock, 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 like that. Aiyo, my feet were so painful. I thought I would die. My feet hurt so much. But I didn't care because I was with your dad. It's the day after the ball in Oxford. Josh and me and our friends are hanging out in our student house. We're wearing t-shirts and jeans. I'm barefoot and I feel so relieved. I can feel the carpet under my feet. I love being able to wiggle my toes. It's such a freedom. But a part of me feels ashamed. I think about those women last night, laughing and dancing in their high-heeled shoes. They didn't seem to care that their feet hurt. Maybe their feet didn't hurt. Maybe it's just me. What's wrong with me? Why can't I endure the pain? I feel bad that being with Josh is not enough to make me forget the pain. I feel like a fraud. I walk across the room to get another drink. My feet are size 3.5, which is quite small by Western standards. Josh follows me with his eyes and he says, almost to himself, but loud enough for everyone else to hear, I do like small feet. And I'm so embarrassed in front of all my friends. But secretly, I'm rather pleased because I'm quite proud of my small feet. Once upon a time in China, 1,000 years ago, there lived an emperor. He had many concubines. One of them was a pretty dancer. She was his favourite. She had small, delicate feet, and one day she bound them up and danced on point, like modern ballerinas do. And her feet looked even smaller and more delicate. The emperor said, I do like small feet. All the other concubines flew into a jealous rage. They wanted small feet too, so they began to bind their feet. Everyone could see how dainty and delicate small feet could be. And the dukes and princes and courtiers all said, we do like small feet. These women with bound feet were considered feminine and desirable. They walked in a delicate swaying manner that all the men in the kingdom found charming. They couldn't move fast and had to take tiny baby steps. These women were considered a class above those dirty, ugly, vulgar peasants with their big, horrible, masculine feet. These women with baby feet were the ones who found the best and richest husbands. So, more and more women began to bind their feet and their daughters' feet, till all the women in the land had small, dainty, delicate feet. These bound feet became known as lotus feet. Little lotus feet, like the bud of the lotus flower. But when all the women have small feet, how do you distinguish yourself? Be the special one that the prince or duke or rich man will notice, like Cinderella, and take to be his wife. You make your feet even smaller. So the greatest prize of all, the most perfect, most treasured foot, was one that was 3 inches long, the tiniest that a human foot could possibly be. And this was known as the Golden Lotus. As a mother, you want the best for your daughter, don't you? You want her to have a good life and be chosen by the best and richest husband. You look out there and you see all those women with small feet, and you know it's a competitive market. So you call your daughter to you. She's 4 years old, the best age to start. You explain to her what you need to do and why you need to do it. You start gently at first. You bend her toes over and tie them loosely with ribbons. It hurts her, but only a little, and she must learn to go about her daily life with her toes curled over. She used to be able to run and play. Now she can't. She looks so small as you watch her. She hobbles like an old woman, but when she wants to go somewhere fast, she crawls, and you think, she's so resourceful. Then she tries to pull the ribbons off, and you chide her and remind her, this is so you can find a good husband. And she listens to you, and learns what it is to be an obedient girl. But her feet keep growing. So you tie the bandages tighter. And her feet keep growing as she grows taller. She's 5 years old. You slice the bottom of her foot, cutting through muscle and tendon, and you fold her foot over and tie the bandages tight. She screams, and you weep, and you remember what it was like for you at that age, how you screamed and struggled and tried to run away, but how could you with your feet cut in two? You're not angry with your mama for doing this to you. No, you're not. You're grateful to her, because look, you have this good life, this good husband, and you know your children will never go hungry. But your daughter's feet keep growing. She's 6 years old, and you break her toes, and still her feet keep growing. She's 7 years old, and you break the bones in her foot, and still her feet keep growing. So you keep breaking the bones and tying the bandages tighter and tighter.
She's 10 years old now, and after 6 years of this ritual, every week, every month, she doesn't try to run away. She can't. She submits. She knows the value of having tiny feet. Yes, she does. After 6 years of this ritual, every week, every month, she's obedient. She is passive. She endures. All these are good qualities that a desirable Chinese wife should have. However her husband treats her, she will endure. And you feel so proud of her. And you break the bones again and tie the bandages tighter and tighter till there is nothing left but 2 tiny little stumps that are 3 inches long, the same size as your feet. The prized golden lotus. That night, you're lying in bed, naked, your feet unbound. Your husband is kneeling at the end of the bed, holding your tiny foot in his hand. He is naked, ecstatic, erect. He's gazing at your golden lotus, adoring its delicate beauty. And suddenly, you know it's all been worth it. You may not be able to stand in this moment, because without the tight bandages, your feet would just collapse under your weight. But you don't need to stand. You are where you should be, your husband kneeling at your feet, worshipping their soft, contorted shape. You're aware that some people, Westerners, find these feet ugly and deformed. Their missionary women come to your country and want to stop foot binding because they say it's cruel. These big Western women with their big bosoms and big masculine feet dare to tell you that natural feet can be beautiful. But look at their own culture. Their women will do anything to be more feminine and desirable. If they had the skills to do it, what cutting and slicing would they endure to tie up their intestines, enlarge their breasts, break their teeth, break their noses, break their faces, and reshape them according to their standard of beauty? So you make no apology for the Chinese standard of beauty that has endured for 1,000 years and will endure for 1,000 more. As a wife, with your tiny feet and beautiful embroidered gowns, you don't have to walk about freely. You stay where you belong, bound to the house, bound to your husband. A woman who walks about freely like a man with natural feet is an abomination. She knows nothing of obedience or submission and cannot be controlled. Men may use her as a servant, or they may use her as they please. They would never marry her. It makes you angry to think of the ruined lives of these women. It's their mothers who are to blame. Their mothers were weak and pitied their pain and did not break their feet enough. But you, with your obedience and submission and endurance, you achieved the 3-inch golden lotus. It is you who deserve this man. This man, so powerful, he could have any woman he chooses, chose you to be his wife, and he is here, kneeling at your feet, caressing them, kissing them, loving them. This is your only power. This power makes sense of everything you have endured from the moment your mother first curled your toes over. This was the only power your mother had, and your mother's mother before her, going back 40 generations. So the next morning, you take out a set of fresh bindings, and you call your beloved daughter to you. Again.
I'm 10 years old in Malaysia. At home, I don't like to wear shoes. I like to feel the warm wooden floor in the bedroom, the cool tiles in the hallway, and the prickle of grass in the garden. I've got short hair and I love to play soldier. I've got a green helmet, a canteen, and I love my toy gun. I'm Bruce Lee. I'm John Steed with his bowler hat and brolly. There's Emma Peel with her long hair and catsuit and knee-high boots. I don't want to be Emma Peel. I don't want to be a girl. I want to be a boy. I should be a boy.
There's a story in my family that everyone knows. This is how my Auntie Diana tells it. So, Mei Nei, when a man and woman get married and they want to have a son, and every Chinese family wants a son, you have to take a baby boy on the wedding night and roll him on the marital bed. That way, his boy essence goes inside the bed, and then when the newly married couple come and lie down on the bed too, you know, his boy essence goes from the bed inside them, and that is how you make a son. You don't believe me? It's true one. So, on the night of your parents' wedding, there is a big party at your grandparents' house. Me, I am 9 years old, your Auntie Ling is 11, and we are so excited to be staying up with the grown-ups at the party. Then late at night, it's the job of your great aunt number 3, your Sam Gu, to be responsible for this significant ritual. So she goes to find one of the baby boys, a little nephew, and she picks him up, and he's all sleepy, and she takes him upstairs to the marital bedroom. And all the guests, they follow because they also want to witness the ritual. And Auntie Ling and me, we are so excited. We push through all the grown-ups' legs, and we pop out in front of Sam Gu. There, in front of us, is the marital bed, empty and waiting for something to happen. So we jump on the bed and we're rolling around and we're giggling and we're so excited. But the grown-ups are like, "Ayo, you naughty girls, get off the bed. This ritual is not for girls. You spoil the ritual, you spoil it all. So shameful for girls to be on the bed. You are so naughty and disobedient." So we roll off the bed and we're crying because we don't want to be disobedient. Sam Gu takes the baby boy and she puts him on the bed. But it's too late. The ritual is already spoiled. So I was born, eldest daughter instead of eldest son. And when I was 3 years old, my sister was born. And when I was 4, yes, my parents had to wait 4 long years, my brother was born. He was the precious boy, and he became the eldest son. 2 girls followed by a boy. You see, the ritual does work. But it's when I'm 4 years old that I know for the first time I should have been a boy. I've got pigtails, and I'm wearing this fluffy white dress with white socks and little white shoes with a pearl button on the side. I look down at myself and I see this girl, this worthless girl. I feel ashamed. I'm a disappointment. Everybody is over there making a fuss over my brother and nobody sees me. But I know I'm not worthless. I can't be worthless. I can't be just a worthless girl. I'm the eldest son. I should be the eldest son. It's just that they can't see me because I'm dressed like this stupid girl. So the next time my mother tries to put me in a dress, I scream
and struggle and try to run away. I want to be like a boy with short hair and boy clothes and boy shoes. And my mother is weak. She pities my pain. So she cuts my hair and lets me wear boy clothes and boy shoes. I love my boy shoes. They're strong and sturdy. They have these fantastic laces and they go cop, cop, cop when I walk. They're just like Grandpa's shoes. Everybody respects Grandpa with his smart suits and pipe and cock shoes that give him power and glamour and authority. But when the family, Grandpa, Grandma, uncles and aunties, when they look at me, they're angry with me. So shameful for a girl to wear boy clothes. You are so naughty and disobedient. But I don't understand. I thought they wanted an eldest son. Look, I want to say, I'm here. I'm your eldest son. But I don't have the words. By the time I'm 10 years old, I'm wearing boy clothes at home. But at school, I have to dress like a girl. I've got this navy pinafore thing. But it's okay, because at least I don't have to wear girl shoes. I get to wear my white rubber shoes, like sports shoes. There's a woman who works at the school canteen. She's big and fat and has short hair. She wears man clothes and man shoes. My school friends and me were having lunch. One of them says, "Hey, yeah, look at that pondan, that queer. You don't go near her. I hear stories you go near her, she touch you down there one." And we go, "Yeah, so shameful." And the woman must know that we're staring at her and laughing at her. Another friend goes, "Giri, makes me sick, these women that dress like men. There must be something wrong with her. They should lock her up in a mental hospital, Tanjong Rambutan, and never let her out." I don't know if what they're saying is true or not, but it doesn't matter. They think it's true. All I can see are the woman's sad and lonely eyes. I stay sitting with my friends. I listen to them laughing. I think about my family's shame and disappointment when they look at me. Is that me there, that pondan with short hair and man's shoes? So over time, I give up my cock shoes and all the power and glamour that they mean to me. I give up Bruce Lee and I give up John Steed. I hide my shame and I bind up my spirit of rebellion and defiance. With obedience and submission and endurance, I bind up my tomboy energy and break its bones. I cut down the eldest son and tie the bandages tighter and tighter till there is nothing left but a heart that is tiny and broken. And over it all, I put on a beautiful embroidered disguise. I'm 25. I'm a lawyer. I'm in London. It's the 80s. I have amazing, incredible power hair. I have beautiful clothes and beautiful little tick-tock shoes. A pair of navy Gucci pumps. Red wedges with white trim. White wedges with navy trim. Delicate Italian slip-ons in two-tone black, tan slingbacks with killer heels, and a pair of knee-high boots like Emma Peel. All the men in my social circle see a woman who is feminine and desirable, and this is my power. These lovely young men who are good-looking and tall, they are lawyers and bankers, and they have CVs that would make my family swoon. We go to the opera. We go to the theatre. We host dinner parties together. They can cook and keep house.
They are sweet and they are kind. They would make such perfect husbands. And every moment is an agony. It's her they love, the china doll, with her beautiful hair and beautiful clothes and beautiful little shoes. I see my life stretching out ahead of me for so many long, long years. How many tiny, painful moments does it take to make a long, long life? How will I endure it? I cannot scream or struggle or run away. My world is so tiny, bound up inside this disguise. Looking out from this broken place, I wonder, will anyone ever see me? Will I ever dare let anyone see me? My great-grandmother was born into a good family in China in the late 1800s. She was the eldest daughter, and after her came 2 more girls, 3 girls. Her father was a physician, but he became an opium addict and smoked away their fortune. For a family left with nothing, having too many girls can be a disaster, because for each girl to marry, you have to pay a dowry to each husband's family. I picture her mother looking at her 3 daughters and thinking about their future. If all her girls had small feet, they could marry well and escape this hard life. There'll never be enough money for 3 dowries, so she must choose. If she cannot save all her girls, then at least she can save one of them. She chooses Yang-May Ooi, the one who is pretty and delicate. It is eldest sister whose feet she binds, Yang-May Ooi, who would become my great-grandmother. On the day of my wedding, there is great cause for celebration. I marry a man whose family is better off than my own, with land and income and servants. My mama made this happen. She chose my feet over my sister's feet. And the whole family also, they made this happen by working and saving all their money for 1 dowry. It should have been happily ever after for Yang-May Ooi. She's married into a good family, she would be provided for, and her children would never go hungry. But she cannot give her husband a child. Then the family she marries into falls on hard times. Yang-May Ooi is no use anymore as a wife or mother. She's just another mouth to feed. She's worthless. So they put her to work. Go, till the fields. Clean up that mess. Fetch water. And every step is an agony. But she is resourceful, so she crawls. She harvests the big heavy pumpkins on her knees. She fetches water on her knees. She lives her life on her knees. This is not the life I was meant to have. My mama promised me if I was obedient, if I endured, I would have a good life, a good husband, and it has all come to nothing. I cannot endure this. I will not endure this. I have a cousin. She owns a goldsmith shop in Maclay. Come, she says, work in our shop. Life is good here. Nobody cares about bound feet. It's a new frontier. A new frontier. Like that gold mountain in America, where so many people have gone to find better lives, Malaya is overflowing with the riches of tin and rubber. But I've heard it's a wild, dangerous place. It's a jungle, hot and humid
busy with so many people. It's a place of ruffians and loose women.
She imagines for the first time a place without shame, a place where women can walk and run where they please. I picture her crawling out of those fields and taking that first step onto the road. How long does it take her to walk from her husband's village to the coast to board the junk to Maclay? How many days? How many nights? How many tiny, painful steps does it take to make such a long, long journey? That pain, that journey, she can endure. And this is her power, this cry to the universe. I'm not worthless. My hopes matter. My heart matters. I matter. I'm 26 and I'm in Australia. I'm wearing my first pair of hiking boots. They're heavy-duty grey leather with blood-red laces. Struthmite on Crocodile Dundee. I'm visiting my best friend Susan. She's a rising star in a multinational and she's on secondment in Sydney. We hire a car and drive into the outback. We're going to Ayers Rock, as it then was, Alice Springs, the Olgas and Kings Canyon. After these few months apart, it feels good to be laughing and talking with her again. I tell her about Andy. He's hunky and sporty, and he's a great kisser. But there's also Mark, who is not so good with the kissing, but he's a sensitive, intellectual type. They're both waiting for me back in London. Which one should I choose? She teases me. You and all your men, do you even like any of them? We drive for days through the Red Desert. There's only us in this vast landscape. We camp beneath the upside-down stars. We watch the sunrise over Ayers Rock, turning it into living fire. Here, beyond the gaze of others, we let slip our disguises. Our voices turn soft, speaking only to each other. Our eyes become gentle, looking only at each other. I tell her about Bruce Lee and John Steed, and she tells me shyly of a secret agent caught behind enemy lines. I see the girl she used to be, turning cartwheels in the sand, laughing without shame, warm and affectionate without embarrassment. And sometimes, when our eyes meet, I feel as if she sees the girl in me. We spend a long, hot day hiking through Kings Canyon. My boots are stiff. I haven't worn them in enough. I have blisters and my toenails feel sliced through. Every step is an agony, but I plod on down the steep trails into the gorge and back up again. My feet feel torn and raw, but I don't care because I'm with her. That night, I'm sitting on a bench at our campsite near the rim of the canyon. There's a single candle on the picnic table next to me. We've just had our evening meal. Susan comes back from the washing up block. She has short hair and strong shoulders. She seems so at ease here in the outdoors. I'm sitting sideways on the bench, hugging one knee. My feet are bare and free. Susan comes up behind me and sits down, straddling the bench. She takes me in her arms. I can feel the warmth of her body against my back. I cross my arms over hers as she holds me. I can feel her cheek against mine. I can hardly breathe. My throat is dry. My heart feels like it will explode. And it feels like the most natural thing in the world. Everything else disappears. My life in London, Andy, Mark, the world beyond this moment. There is only her. We sit there and talk. The sky above is bright with stars. We talk about the places we've been. We plan the route back to Sydney. We talk about everything, except this one thing, right here, right now. In the darkness, this moment seems to last forever. And it is over, just like that. We put out the candle and crawl into our little tent, into our separate sleeping bags. We do not speak. Susan seems to sleep through the night. We do not touch. Bound up inside the tight bag, I lie awake and stare into the darkness. The next morning, she's cold and abrupt. She doesn't look at me. I want to tell her how I feel, but every time I move close to her, she moves away. And I'm back in that school canteen. You don't go near that pondan. People like that, they should lock them up in the mental hospital. Before we leave, we head back to the canyon one last time. They say this part of the canyon is a mile deep, maybe more. It's a strange thing to be standing right at its very edge. If we missed our footing, fell, how long would it take us to reach the canyon floor? Susan stands a few feet from me, but it may as well be 100 miles. She heads back to the car. It doesn't matter if what happened last night was no more than the gesture of a friend soon to be forgotten. It doesn't matter if she can never love me. All I know is I feel alive and I can never put on that disguise again. I look down at the abyss and I see infinity. And it seems to me that in that moment I step off into air. I'm awake in my old bedroom, the one I've had since I was 4. It's 1990 and it's the recession. I'm 27 and I've just lost my high-flying law job. I'm back home in my parents' house in Malaysia. It's dawn and I can't sleep. I get up in my pyjamas and go and look for my mother. She's outside in the garden, hanging up the laundry. She's in her long nightdress and the sun is just coming up over the palm trees. Hello, my Noi, my daughter, you're up. Yeah, jet lag. Mom, I had a dream. I dreamt I was in a dangerous place, like a rocky ledge, and if I took the wrong step, I would fall. Then I came to a crossroads and I had to choose. Which way should I go? But I realized you were with me in the dream and that everything would be okay. It's just a dream, darling. Of course everything will be okay. Mom, I'm gay. And then I'm rambling, talking. It's all disconnected, words coming out of my mouth. Maybe the words will hold back the next moment because I don't know what she's going to say. She puts down my father's shirt and holds me in her arms. Are you sure, darling? And I can see her thinking about all those lovely young men I've brought home over the years to show her. I nod and we start to talk. We walk arm in arm, taking turn after turn around the garden. The sun is brighter now over the palm trees. Did I do something wrong? Is it my fault? Did I do something to make you this way? No, Mom, it's not your fault. I've always been like this. This is just who I am. We take another turn around the garden. We're both wearing flip-flops. My feet feel free as if I'm a child again. Mom, I tried so hard. I wanted to get married. I wanted to give you grandchildren. I wanted to have the life that everyone, the whole family expected me to have.
and now I'm letting you down. You can never let me down. You are my Noi, and I will always love you. All I want is for you to be happy, and I worry that your life will be more difficult because you are gay. But it was already difficult because I was trying not to be. And suddenly, we're both laughing. We walk on beneath the gaze of the arching sky. It's a beautiful morning. The crossing to Malaya will take 3 weeks with a fair wind. Yang-May, the woman who would become my great-grandmother, huddles with the other third-class passengers on board the junk. They terrify her, these crowds of stinking bodies, the leering men, the jostling for food and water at mealtimes. The big sky terrifies her. The heaving of the boat terrifies her. She's so unsteady, so unable to fight for her rations. Then one day, something draws her up onto the deck. She stands up, clinging to a rope, holding her weight up with her arms. She feels the power of the swells beneath the ship. She feels the sun on her face. The sea spray showers her in bursts as the boat skids onward. It is as if she is reborn. She sees infinity in the vast, endless horizon. Everything about her old life was so certain, so uncompromising, going back 1,000 years. Everything ahead of her is an unknown. Out there, beyond the horizon, is a new country where they don't care about bound feet. Can that be real? Is it possible to throw away tradition just like that, to make your own life, your own choices, your own traditions? She has never seen the world move past her so fast. The wind buffets her body, the sea swooshes by. Her world is no longer shrunken, no longer defined by her tiny, painful steps. It is as if she has taken flight. She looks up and gives herself over to the arching sky, laughing like she has never laughed before, a woman in ecstatic joy. In Chinese tradition, when you get married, you must bring your spouse to the family to be formally accepted. This is done through the tea-carrying ceremony. The newlyweds carry tea to the elders. If the elders do not drink the tea, it means that they reject you and your beloved. But if they drink the tea, it means that they accept you and your spouse into the family, and the bonds between all of you become even stronger. It's 2008. Angie and I have been together for 14 years, and it's the day after our civil partnership. Angie has eyes as blue as the arching sky and a shy, gentle manner that makes my heart take flight. We're at my sister's house in London, and the whole family is there. My parents, my sister, my brother and his family. We're all dressed casually, and I'm wearing my biker boots. When my parents got married, they performed this same tea ceremony to their parents, as did my grandparents to theirs, going back innumerable generations. Angie and I carry tea to my father. He sips the tea and says, "We all in the family cherish you both."
Angie and I carry tea to my mother. She also sips the tea. She says to me, "I am so proud of you, my Noi." She says to Angie, "Ever since you came into Yang-May's life, we have seen how much happier she has become. The whole family is grateful to you. Thank you, Angie, my son Paul, my daughter-in-law." Today, Angie and I have been together for 21 years. I see all of her, and she sees all of me. She sees Bruce Lee and John Steed. She sees the sulky 4-year-old in the fluffy white dress. She sees the mother who would do anything for her daughter's happiness. She sees the daughter who dares to live unbound. She sees the slinky young woman in the red cheongsam. She sees the bondan. She sees in me my mother and my great-grandmother. She sees the feminine and the masculine, the shameful and the desirable. She sees my endurance and my defiance. She sees the lover and partner always by her side. She sees me bound and she sees me free. It's a beautiful September day in 2012. I'm almost 50 and I'm walking side by side with Angie. We're hiking the South Downs Way, 100 miles across the southern coast of England from Winchester to Eastbourne, and there's a gang of us, all of us in our hiking gear. We've walked 95 miles and we turn the corner. There, stretching out ahead of us, are the 7 Sisters, 7 hills rolling out over the white chalk cliffs like the hem of an embroidered gown. To our right, the infinite sea glitters in the bright sun. Looking up at the delicate beauty of the landscape, I have a sense that I own the world, and I break into a wild, unfurling race up the first hill, then the next, and the next. My feet leap up the steep slopes, instinctively finding the best path. I'm wearing old battered hiking boots, sturdy on the outside, soft as bedding on the inside. It's like dancing on air. Here, on this bright day, with my friends, with Angie, I love the gift of this fragile body. I love to feel my heart pumping so hard. I love the stickiness of my sweat. I love the fire in my chest as my lungs gasp for breath. I love my small feet that have carried me this long, long way. I love my short, chunky legs that have pistoned me up these hills, my muffin top that will always be here no matter how far I run. I love my smaller than average breasts, my crooked teeth, my squash nose, my short-sighted eyes, my grey hair. I love the beauty of my imperfection. And this is my power.